Let's do this. Let's do some whiskey things. Welcome to the Whiskey Vault. I'm Daniel Whittington, Chancellor of Wizard Academy and Whiskey Marketing School. This episode is thanks to Eric Waite, who taped his name to the back of the bottle. And, sorry, shutting doors. And it's half empty because we used it during a class and tested it out. But I'm going to do an experiment that I was going to save for the sit-down desktop drams, but I think I'm just going to do it here. And that is one of the things that we are always teaching is a knowledge of production helps you understand what you're drinking and smelling. So if you understand what grain tastes like, literally, eat a piece of barley, you can spot it in new make. If you understand what new make coming off a still tastes and smells like, you can see its impact as a part of the process in the final product. If you understand what fermentations create and the flavors coming off of cuts, heads, hearts, tails, and if you understand finishing products, so when something's finished in a sherry barrel, one of the first things you should be doing is going and buying sherry, trying the different sherries, then going back to the whiskey that used that sherry and going, oh, that's where those flavors are coming from. And I know that sounds really rudimentary, but no one ever does it. And I mean, honestly, it's a lot of money to spend to just take one sip of something and go, oh, I recognize that. So it's better to do in a group. But I discovered that I have a soft spot across the board for almost any scotch finished in Madeira. Every time I find a scotch and they put it in a Madeira cask, I'm always like, yep, I like that. Better than port, PX, right? Better than sherries, which is PX is sherry, right? So better than port, better than sherry. And I'm trying to think of any other ones that really stand up and nope. As soon as Madeira shows up, I'm like, yeah. And my first experience, really dramatic, was a Kilchoman Madeira cask. Still to this day, the best Kilchoman I've ever had. So I was talking about that with Eric and saying, I really need to try Madeira. When's the last time you've ever went out and bought a bottle of Madeira? Answer for me, one time ever. So he said, I'm going to send you a bottle. Now, he sent me one, and the same week that he sent this comparison sample, Nathan Huey, one of our other students and donors, sent another bottle, ironically, from the same Madeira company. But it was a special series that they did where they tried to create old world Madeira flavors based on the kind of Madeira that different cities in the U.S. would have been drinking during the era when Madeira was being consumed in a larger part of the population. Now, this is GlenAllachie. This is a distillery that's Billy Walker, who really, 50 years in the industry, one of the great legends of Scotch, started and ran every part of the process at various distilleries, ended up stepping out and taking over the whole Benriach, which was Benriach, Glendronach, and there was a third one that was a part of that. Anyway, blew that up, and then stepped aside, and GlenAllachie is his new baby, and this is not new, this is years now. But he has turned GlenAllachie into a whole new program. It used to be GlenAllachie went into blends, mostly, almost entirely. GlenAllachie used to go into blends and premium blends, and that was where most of its whiskey went. And now it's kind of been redone through. And I got it for two reasons. One, Sam at Impex Beverage reached out to me and was like, hey, when they started carrying and importing GlenAllachie, hey, you need to try these. And he was not wrong. And so I fell in love with GlenAllachie, and I really liked everything Billy Walker did at Glendronach and Benriach. I loved it all. And I still love those places. But I loved what he instituted and the changes that he made. And so I was really excited to try GlenAllachie. I had not gotten my hands on the 13-year-old Madeira cask until now. So, on the nose, just with no other discussion of Madeira. Oh, man. Deep, dank pipe tobacco. Fall, foggy, earthy, loam, like bog, kind of musty earth. And a dense sweetness, dense dark, almost roasted, fig type direction. Everything in here is dark, heavy, late fall, almost winter. Deep, like if you ever were into pipe smoking, like tobacco pipes, and you ever had English shag or English like rough cut, it's not an aromatic pipe tobacco. It's actually like super funky, like sticky. It's not the friendly pipe smoke you're thinking of when you're like, oh, vanilla cream, or oh, it's got a name and it smells. And make friends and you light a pipe and everyone's like, oh, a pipe. This is the kind that you're like, this is what you imagine Sherlock Holmes was smoking when he would walk, when Watson would walk in and be like, oh God, it's that smell. It's not, it's funky and dense and heavy and very different than cigars. And if you mix that with just this heavy-handed, deep, dark fruit cake, bread. It's so good. I love that nose. Man, that palate. So rich. It's not so sweet that it's candied, but it is very sweet. Ends in kind of a dry, not tannic, but dry. It just ends a little dry. It doesn't linger or cling. It stops at the mid palate and the finish is just kind of soft and vanishes, and your aftertaste is all living mid palate forward. If you really force, yeah, this is really dry. Now, here's what we're gonna do. Madeira. I got 2 bottles of Madeira. I'm gonna bring them out. It's gonna be a little bit longer video, so settle in. Madeira is a Portugal wine, and it comes from a specific island, or a piece around Portugal. And it was during the era when sailors were like showing up in port, filling up barrels of wine, and then heading out. They needed to find something that would keep everything from spoiling in the heat of those kind of tropics is the wrong word, but the heat of that part of the world. And so they would fortify the wine, which means they would add distilled spirits into it to bring the ethanol layer up, because you bring up alcohol. Alcohol kills bacteria and things like this, and so it would prolong the life of the spirits in that barrel. And it wasn't a spirit, it's more of a wine, a fortified wine, right? And that's where you get ports, fortified wines, and so on. Madeira is another fortified wine, and it uses a handful of grapes that you can kind of choose from for Madeira, and they all have this sort of traveled in barrels moving around, shifting, and now all the producers of Madeira have various ways of recreating movement of liquid in a barrel. And so you would be put into a barrel and then put on a ship and then heated and cooled and heated and cooled. And by the time it made it to the Americas or wherever it was going, it tasted very different. And everyone had these very different experiences of Madeira wine. But this sort of rich, heavier flavor of high movement heat combo, this is almost the early experience that distillers in hot climates have, like Texas, New Mexico, Taiwan, where you get this really high barrel impact, really high dense heavy flavors from heat and movement, or not movement, heat, hot climates. And it's the wine version of that, which is maybe why I've liked Madeira. I don't have a lot of experience, but Madeira can be everything from sweet to sort of really dry. Now, there's 2 that we have right here, and I'm gonna set this, for right now, I'm gonna set this to the side just for a second. Because what we're going to do is get these 2 Madeiras out. Now, this one, these are both from the Rare Wine. Here, I'll let you see them. These are both from the Rare Wine, or the Rare Wine Co. Historic Series of Madeira. And the series of this one, Eric Waite gave me this one, which was Boal, which is probably closer, I'm going to guess, to the Madeira that was used barrel for the GlenAllachie. This one is different. When Nathan Huey brought this one, and this is Cercial, which is a different grape. So these are grapes, Boal and Cercial. Now, Boal is more of a category, Cercial is a grape, and it was, so Madeira focused on those specific grapes aimed at a certain city. So this one was Charleston, and this one, if I remember correctly, is Boston. Yeah, Boston. So we've already opened one. I'm going to re-open because we pushed that cork in a little far. And I'm going to open the one that Eric Waite sent from scratch, because I think Eric is right. probably, the way that Cercial is described, I think we're more likely to be drinking, or if we're looking for the flavor that it's adding, I think we're more likely to get Boal than Cercial as far as what flavor impact is happening with the Madeira. So let's hold that one, and I'm just going to open them both. Now, Madeira will last. So unlike some sherries, when you open a Madeira, the alcohol content and everything means that you can have it open and then recorked if it's corked well and resealed well. You can have it for a while and you're going to be okay. You don't need to worry about, like, in 1 week this is going to be no good. But man, these corks are dry. These have not been set on the side, and they've been stored in Texas for a while next to an air conditioning unit. And I'm just doing this so you guys can see everything that's happening. So we're going to do, oh, look at that color. Look at that. That tawny raisin. Okay, so they are slightly different in color. I don't know that you can tell from here. How about this? I got a piece of paper. I don't know, there's print on this, but like, I don't know if you can tell from here, but the color is slightly different on that. And that Cercial is supposedly a drier Madeira, and the Boal is way darker, fruitier Madeira. So, first, oh yeah. Oh yeah, drastically different. If I had to pick on, this is closer to a Amontillado sherry, and this is closer, no, it's not, it's its own thing. I was going to say it's closer to an Oloroso because there's almond notes in there, but as soon as the almond note pickles, immediately something else is right behind it, flooding the nostrils. It is earthy, and oh man, there's something in there that I can't get my head to say. There's a mustiness, a mulchy earthiness to the Boal, whereas there's a nutty, dry note to the Cercial. They both smell really beautiful. Now, oh man, it is dry, but it's not dry like Fino Sherry is dry or like Apollo Catado is dry. It's dry for a sweet fortified wine. It is like dry almond, no sweet, like sweetness, but it's more dry almond than it is sweet candied almond. And then there is a sweetness, but it's a soft sweetness on the Boal. Oh, see, that's my home turf right there. Dense, dark, rich sweetness. Beautiful. Beautiful. That's so good. Okay, now, based on that, I'm bringing back GlenAllachie. And what we're going to say is, ta-da, is on the nose, way more like Boal. The Madeira sweetness is way closer to Boal than it is to Cercial. Taste is way drier. You know what? The palate is giving me Cercial notes. The nose is leaning fruity, and the palate is leaning dry. It's very interesting. So, at home, you should be doing this. If you can, just for fun. More fun with friends, and you can split the cost of a bottle that you're never going to drink the whole thing alone. Get yourself a port. If something says Oloroso cask, if you love Redbreast, and it's got Oloroso and PX, go buy a bottle of Oloroso and a bottle of PX. Try them with friends, then try Redbreast. If you love Glendronach, and it's a specific, just try the finishing things. And try it with the thing that says we finished it in it, and you will learn so much about what's actually happening in any of these finishes and how much the finish is actually impacting and how much your whiskey tastes more like the sherry than it does like a malt. And then if that's the case, then, you know, maybe drink some brandy. Oh, man. Billy Walker does great things. Eric Waite is a kind human being. Nathan Huey is a very generous giver. And together, they make this episode. Cheers to you all. And I'm really glad you're here. If you like a whiskey channel that's slowly becoming a wine channel, not really. We just dance around in the wine fields. Maybe like and subscribe.